This is it, guys. Welcome to the DR Sports YouTube channel. I've been putting this off for the longest time because I didn't think I was ready. I wasn't sure what you guys wanted to see, but I know I've got so much value I can bring to you guys. And I know that I've taken the steps and I help my clients take the steps to literally say what it says on the tin. In this video, we're going to cover how to permanently fix pain and posture. So I've broken it down to the 4 pillars, which is mobility, conditioning, uh, recovery, and alignment. And these are essentially the 4 pillars that I push my clients to take in their lives. This is how I get such amazing results in clinic. Some of you guys know me through Instagram. Across all social media platforms, I have around 70,000 followers now. But if I worked flat out in clinic every day, at a maximum, I could only help maybe 1,000, maybe 1,500 people if I didn't sleep, if I didn't eat, a year, which quite frankly is not enough. If there's 70,000 people that follow me, it's because they need some sort of help with their body, with their alignment, with their pains. And here on YouTube, my goal is to give it all away for free. So if you're new here, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and I'm going to be giving away all my knowledge that I've built in clinic over the past few years away on here so that you guys can fix your shit, man. Honestly, like, fix that forward text neck that you have, fix that duck-like anterior pelt. You can't even see. Let me show you. You guys kill me, man. Some of you come into clinic and you have these crazy things going on, like, shoulder pain. You can't bench press because every time you try to do any pushing movements, you're getting a crack in your shoulder. You'll get this clunkiness in your shoulder where your ligaments, your tendons are so tight. It's essentially just rubbing over your joints. If you have got joint degeneration like I did up here, but we'll touch on that later. So I've had my fair share of injuries, guys, as well, and I've been through it all. I've been through the bad posture. I've been through the joint damage. I've had muscle strains, muscle sprains. Football was my thing. I thought that's all I needed to focus on to get better at the sport, to be lean, to have a good physique. And I learned the hard way. And I hope that none of you have to do the same. And I essentially want all of you to live pain-free. If you guys follow these 4 steps, it doesn't matter which order. If you follow these 4 steps, you are never going to be in pain again, ever. You're going to fix your alignment, never going to be in pain. You're not going to have to worry about picking up something heavy from the floor every time that you bend down. You're not going to be worried about, is my back going to go? Every time you go into the gym, you're going to be able to train hard, train freely without pain. I couldn't imagine how debilitating it would be if every time that I went into the gym, I had to limit myself. Because I was self-conscious of some sort of nagging pain in my hip, nagging pain in my shoulder. If I was at work every day, prime example, I used to get neck pain when I was working in clinic a few years ago. This is when I first started. I used to get terrible neck pain. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but actually this ties into alignment. So what we can do is we can start off the video on the alignment section. So here, alignment. I was getting neck pain because this was a few years ago, constant neck pain radiating up into my head, causing me headaches. I couldn't do any exercise in the gym without my trap feeling like it was constantly on fire. And this, I noticed that this was down to my alignment, because I was thinking my recovery is okay. My training was a bit and my stretching was a bit So I was not fully enacting the 4 pillars. But I'll tell you why I had neck pain. I had the neck pain because, like this lady here, and I get this with a lot of my nail technicians, for example. So we fall into bad alignment because of our day-to-day habits. Your day-to-day habits constantly put pressure on different areas of your body. Here's a few examples, yeah? So a nail technician. Nail technicians, they always have neck pain. Why? Because they're constantly overarched, looking down at what they're doing. Same as I used to be in clinic. So I used to be in clinic, but this is when I was working flat out as well. So I used to be in clinic like 5, 6, 7 hours a day, which is a lot for the type of work I do because it's very physical. Looking down at clients, and I noticed that because I was constantly looking down at what I was doing, it was putting strain on my neck muscles here. And that was the reason that my traps were constantly firing. So, like a nail technician, for example, she's constantly having to look at her client's nails. What does that mean? That means that her head is not over the center of gravity, which means she's looking down. Now, is this avoidable? Not really. She could be like me and teach herself just to use her eyes and make sure she has glasses so that she can see exactly what she's doing. But the looking down position is somewhat unavoidable for her. So what she would need to do is maximize the other 3 pillars that we're going to speak about. So the next one is desk workers. So desk workers, constant neck pain and have terrible posture, especially if they work on a laptop. And this is because there's literally no ergonomic position, guys, that you can use a laptop in. Not one. Even if you have a standing desk, your arms are still going to be up here all day. And if you have the laptop on your laptop, terrible for your posture. Using your laptop in bed, awful. If you are one of my clients, if you are watching this video, you better get yourself a laptop stand ASAP. Because this, I can tell you now, this is the number one reason for your pain. Look at the position that you're put into when you're looking at a laptop every day. Let me just zoom in for you guys so you can see here. You're looking at a laptop every day. Look at the position that it puts you in. I saw a stat recently, and I know I'm going to get this wrong, but you're going to get the basic premise. Every inch that your head goes forward, your neck is put under 7 kilos of pressure. So 1 inch forward is 7 kilos, 2 inches forward, 14 kilos, and so on and so forth. How many inches forward do you think this guy's neck is? Because that doesn't look like 1 or 2 inches to me. That looks like a good 10. And 10 inches times 7, that's 70 kilos worth of weight on his neck. What do you think is going to happen? So guys, you need to make sure to mitigate as much of this as you can. Second one, taxi drivers. People that work sitting down in the car for long hours, they often have one of 2 things. The first, if you can guess what they are, it's nothing like the first 2. It's more to do with the hips and the lower back. Let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So, if you work in a car, the likelihood is that when you're driving, you'll lean to one side. And this also applies for desk workers as well. You'll lean to one side. Also, the positioning of your feet. You're constantly using your feet. You're constantly using your legs. So what does that mean? That means that you're constantly somewhat engaging the hip flexors. You're constantly doing these micro movements with your hip flexors. So what can happen is that your QL, which is here, so let me fix the camera quickly. So what can happen is that your QL, which is here, can get tight. Your QL is here. If you lean to one side when you're driving, your QL can get tight. What does that do? That pulls your hip up like this, right? So you're going to be walking around with something called a hip hike. Now, number 2, remember the micro movements with the legs, right? You're constantly engaging your hip flexors, your calves. So what can happen is that your hip flexors, because they're in a shortened position, but you're using them constantly in this shortened position, they will go into a state of contraction, which essentially means that the muscle will shorten over time. So if your hip flexors get tight and they shorten, you'll be pulled into this anterior pelvic tilt. Your hip flexors are massive muscles here, right? They will pull your body down and you'll get this arch to lower back, and it's going to be painful. It's going to cause you lower back issues down the line. And essentially, it's just one big mess. So now we've spoken about why lower back pain may happen, the day-to-day tasks that may put us into this bad alignment. We can also take a look at further why it may happen, right? So overworking muscles, just like the taxi driver, he's got his hip flexors overworking, so that's going to pull his pelvis forward, same as this guy, right? You can see this guy's pelvis. This is what anterior pelvic tilt is, guys. You can see his pelvis is rotated forward because of his tight hip flexors, because of his tight lower back, and because he's not following the other four pillars. If he was following the other four pillars, he wouldn't have this issue, which means that he probably wouldn't have his back pain, right? So, next one, joint wear and tear. Obviously, the worse your alignment, the more uneven pressure on your joints. Let's take the lower back for example here. You can see here his lower back is really arched, really curved, right? What does that mean? That means that there would be more pressure on the facet joints. The spine is made up of two joints. I wish I had my spinal model here to show you, but it's made up of two parts. It's made up of the disc, which is at the front, and the facet joint, which is at the back. Now, if you have that arch and you're arching your back like Kim K, yeah, what's going to happen? You're going to put excessive pressure onto your facet joint, and that's going to cause you pain. Then you're going to come to me and you're going to have not been using the other four pillars in your life, and I'm going to have to sit you down and speak to you about your terrible alignment, your terrible mobility, the fact that you haven't strength trained in over a year, or that you've been strength training without doing the other factors. And are we going to get that far? Maybe I might be able to get you out of pain for a bit, but that's not a sustainable solution. What I do in clinic is all great and amazing, but if you continue with your shit habits, I can't do anything for you. So this is a progression of what we were just speaking about of the joint wear. Yeah, joint wear and tear, uneven pressures on the joint can cause you something called sciatica. This is essentially where you have not got proper control and mechanical load over your body, or you've put your body in a rough position for too much time, and your disc has bulged. Essentially, there's too much forward pressure on your disc, and it has bulged the disc. There's a video on my Instagram that literally explains disc bulges A to Z. I'm gonna link it in the description below so you can take a look at that as well. We don't have enough time to cover this, but essentially, this is joint wear, uneven pressures on your joint because of what we have said. Balance and coordination. Obviously, your balance and your coordination is not going to be the best if you're out of alignment, right? Because again, uneven joint pressures, it throws your balance. It throws your balance off. Okay, so now we've spoken about your alignment. Is your alignment something that you can directly control? Yes, but it happens to you on a subconscious level. So no one actually realizes they're in a bad alignment until it's too late, really. And some people don't realize at all. The amount of people that come to see me and they're like, oh, what? What do you mean my posture's bad? Yeah, your posture's awful. You're walking around like a pigeon and your neck is like so far ahead of your whole body. What do you mean you haven't noticed? Obviously, you've got neck pain. Okay, moving on. So, how can we improve our alignment? How can we improve our pain? Let's first touch on the mobility section, because this is the simplest and easiest to understand. If you do not have full mobility, the only people that have normally full mobility without training it is people who are hypermobile. And these people have a big mess anyway. Their body normally is very, very difficult to deal with. If I have someone in clinic and nothing they're doing or saying makes any sense, instantly I know they have hypermobility. If you do not stretch or you do not train your mobility, what's going to happen? Day-to-day life, as we said, the pressures that it puts on your body, your training, when you're in the gym, the weights, this tightens your muscles. If you do not do your stretching, what do you think is going to happen? These muscles are going to tighten and tighten and tighten over time, and they're going to bring you into that bad alignment, and somewhere along the lines you're probably going to have pain. So here, look, on the floor, for example, this is full range of motion of the shoulder. This is full range of motion of the rotator cuff. If I ask most of you to get into one of these positions, this is normal. This is a normal position, guys. This is not me being super mobile. I don't even stretch that much. A couple times a week for me is enough because I've worked on my stretching in the past and I haven't let it get too bad. If you get to the point where your range of motion is so bad, then okay, you need to stretch pretty much every day to almost get yourself out of pain, to almost mitigate you you to almost get yourself out of pain and to make sure that you can operate functionally and normally. So instantly, when I see a guy come in and he's big, he's a bit bulky, I ask him, okay, so what kind of stretching routines do you follow? What do you do in the gym? So you do your workout. What do you do after? Oh no, I just go home. What do you mean, just go home? Okay. Do you do any stretching? He's like, yeah, do a bit of banded warm up, and I'll maybe just pull my arm across the body. That's not enough. What do you think is going to happen to all your bicep muscles, your the tendons that come into your shoulder? This shoulder has, a 10 plus tendons connecting to it. What do you think is going to happen in that area if you do not adequately stretch? I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get nonsense like tendonitis. Your posture's going to round forward like this. Your head's going to come forward, and it's all a knock-on effect. Then that affects your pelvis, and then your body's in a massive rut of pain, and then you're wondering why you get discomfort when you're training. So, as we've said, restoring full range of motion is important because it causes muscle tightness, muscle tension, and this is one of the best ways to relieve your muscular tension. Of course, you don't want to spend all your time stretching. I personally find it boring. I find it mundane. The only people that find stretching really fun are probably some yoga hippies, but honestly, so I have found a way that I can incorporate some mobility during my workout so I don't have to spend all of my time stretching. I spend about maybe actual stretching, maybe about 40 minutes a week, which if you think about it is not that much because I've optimized my life for efficiency and I don't really like to do things that are boring and mundane. So we're going to talk about how I do this later. Okay, strains and tears. This is a big one when it comes to your mobility, to how much you stretch, because your muscles, when you are inflexible, become like leather. They become like leather. You can't. It's not flexible. You can't. Muscle should be more like a rubber band. It's flexible. You can move it. If you don't stretch over a prolonged period of time, it becomes leather, taut. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you're in the gym or when you're out and about and you have to bring that taut leather muscle into a deep position for whatever you may be doing? Let's say you are on the dumbbell bench press, for example. You're on the dumbbell bench press, you're bringing your arms down, the muscle is so tight because you never stretch. It's a weight that you haven't done before. You're bringing it down. Because it's heavy, it goes past the range of motion that you're normally used to. So the range of motion that you normally train in is maybe here to here. But because it's heavy, it comes further. What's going to happen? Pop, snap, kaput. Your shoulder, muscle, bicep tendon is gone. No, say goodbye. This is the dangers of not stretching. On top of that, it restricts circulation in the muscle area, so you're getting less nutrients to your muscles, your recovery slower, and it's all one big mess. This is why my cupping practitioners will know that when the cups go dark, it's normally down to tight muscles or tight fascia, because essentially, if there's, imagine the nerves, the blood vessels, the capillaries, they all have to go through, they innervate the muscle. If your muscle's overly tight, you're not going to be getting the fresh blood flow, you're not going to be getting the nutrients, your nerves are going to feel trapped. It's all a big mess. So, mobility. This is pillar number 2. Okay, let's move on to pillar number 3, which is... So this is pillar number 3, conditioning. Conditioning is pillar number 3 because most of you know that you should do some sort of exercise, that you should be in the gym in some way. And this is because, this is for a few reasons actually. First one is this is your joint support. I posted a video the other day and let me not even speak too much about it, but some person replied in the comments thinking they were smart, saying, oh, but, you could have worded this a bit better. Why, the average person, if they go for a run, they're not going to get injured. They're not going to get joint damage. What are you talking about? This is literally the reason I ended up in hospital. This is the reason I ended up having to have surgery, because I neglected my strength and conditioning. I'll tell you what, when I was in this picture here, I was skinny as anything. This was a picture of me. I was borderline anorexic. Look, this was me. This is what I used to look like here on the left. And thinking I was some sort of athlete and that I didn't need to be strong. I didn't need to put on size. I didn't need that joint support. This is why I ended up over here. Now, strength is a massive foundation for everything, essentially. It basically makes sure that your joints are protected. Why? Because any movement that you do, any impact, if you jump, if for whatever reason you have to run the bus, I know maybe not all of you may be marathon runners or football players or something like that, but every now and then we've got to run for the bus. You know it. We've all been there. Every now and then we have to run for the bus. And what's going to happen if you're running or you're doing some sort of intensive exercise, maybe even if it's not intense, maybe even if you're just reaching down to pick something moderately heavy from the floor, like one of your kids, for example, you go to pick up your little kid or your little nephew or something like that, and these kids are built different these days, man. They weigh like probably about 20 kilos, if not more, and you're picking them up, and you get a strain, grade 1, or God forbid, grade 2 or grade 3. You might get a muscle strain. Why? Because you've never trained your muscles. You do not put your muscles under tension in the gym to make sure that in day-to-day life things roll smoothly. And I'm not saying strength training is everything, because we've just spoken about how mobility is so important. If your mobility is not where it needs to be at a basic level, the two go hand in hand. The two definitely go hand in hand, and you need to make sure you're doing both. I was saying to you earlier, this is the reason that I ended up in hospital, because essentially all I was doing was running, because I thought I needed to get fit for football, and I never did any strength and conditioning. I neglected it. I brushed it. I thought, I don't want to be big. I don't want to be bulky. Where did that end me up? In hospital. Why? Because running is like it's cardio. It strengthens your heart. It strengthens your lungs. So it gives you a bigger engine. But everything around that engine, if it's weak, you have a big engine so you can go for longer. But whenever you plant your foot, it will be your joints taking that impact. Every time. That's what happened to me. My muscles were not strong enough to keep up with my engine, and my joints paid the price because of it. So as I was saying to you, training is your insurance. This is what makes sure that when you go to pick up your little nephew from the floor or your little niece, that you're not going to pull your back. Why? Because you've been doing your strengthening and you pull 20 kg on a warm-up set. So your little niece, you trained back a couple of days ago. Your body knows. Your body knows that you can lift 20 kg, no issues, no problems. This is light for you, right? But if you've never been to the gym, 20 kg off the floor is quite a lot. It's quite a lot. And your body's not going to be used to it. So what's going to happen? Muscle strain, back's gone. Now what? Now you're coming to me asking me about, oh, my back's gone. How can I get out of this problem? Whatever. Sure, I may be able to get you out of pain, but how are we going to move forward from this? So here's me doing an advanced level back movement. To be completely honest with you and tell you the truth, I've not really been training my lower back that much. I've been lazy. I've been slacking. I'll tell you the truth. And I noticed these things. So I like to play little games with my body here and there. So for a while, I won't train my lower back. Everything else is getting stronger, getting bigger. My arms are getting bigger. I'm pushing more with my chest. My legs are getting stronger. But over the past couple of weeks, I've been lazy. I haven't trained my lower back. And I'm starting to feel it. I've been doing my mobility, but I've been avoiding my lower back training because I'm lazy. And guess what? I'm starting to feel the lower back pain. So many of you guys come into clinic and you're asking me, oh, Diego, I've got lower back pain. Why have I got lower back pain, The majority of you have got no range of motion in your lower back. It doesn't look like you've done a stretch in your life. I ask you to touch your toes and it's a mission. I ask you to do a simple rotation. It's a mission. But for those that don't have that restriction in range of motion, I ask them, okay, so when was the last time that you trained your lower back? Never. What do you mean, never? You go to the gym, you train everything else. You train your chest, you train your legs, but you'll skip lower back. What do you think's going to happen? Your lower back, your poor lower back, everything else is getting stronger. You're putting more mechanical load under it. And you expect it to what? Just keep up without it being trained? No, you need to train it directly. And for those with lower back pain, I always like to give them the, what is this called? This is the lower back extension. The Roman chair, that's what it's called. Goodness me, I had to rack my brain for that one. It's because I've not been doing it. Anyway, but I'm going to start, because if not, I'm going to start paying the price. It's been 2 weeks, no Roman chair. Some of you guys do years, no Roman chair, and wondering why your lower back's weak, why your lower back's not feeling the way it should be. You need to attack your body from every angle to make sure that it doesn't give you any issues and runs smoothly. So for my people with lower back pain, I normally like to give them the Roman chair. But like anything, you can't just go on here and, like this guy, rep the weight down, rep the weight up, and just go through the movement. You need to train with intent, and you need to train in line with your body's goals and what you can physically do in this moment. So if you have lower back pain, it would be ridiculous for me to give you weighted Roman chairs, because what's that going to do? It's just going to make it 10 times worse. So what I would do instead is I would give you Roman chair holds. So what you'll do is you'll just hold at the top of the movement. If you can do 30 seconds, that's perfect. Relax. 30 seconds again, relax. 30 seconds again, until you get to the point where you can do this easy, smoothly, without any issues. So I'm going to explain to you what the DR Sports Set is and how that helps me save time stretching, all that boring stuff. I don't have to do too much of it because I do my DR Sports Set to keep my muscles mobile and in full range of motion without too much stretching. So essentially what it is, let's say you do the lat pull down, and I'm gonna release a video on this in a couple of days, so it should be linked below by the time I've done it. So let's say you're doing the chest fly, perfect example. Let's say you're doing the chest fly. Let me just increase the view here. So let's say you're doing chest fly. You're in the gym, you do your chest flies heavy, yeah? So let's say your heaviest set is maybe 80 kilos. What I want you to do is warm up with something reasonable, maybe like 50. So warm up with something like 50, get your reps out, maybe 20 reps to get the muscle warm, the blood pumping. And then after you've done your 20 reps, then you're going to go into a heavier set. Why? Because you should be wanting to get stronger. You should be wanting to put on some muscle, as we're going to talk about body composition below, why it's important to have some muscle, why it's important to have a good frame. So let's say you've done your 50 warm up, 20 reps. You're now on your next set. This is going to be a working set now. So I want you to push yourself to failure or near failure. You're going to push yourself about 6 to 8 reps, and it's going to be something relatively heavy. Let's say your relatively heavy weight is 80. So you're going to do your 6 reps of 80. You should be pretty exhausted by the end of that. Then after you've done those 6 to 8 reps, you're going to drop the weight back to 50, back to your warm-up weight, and I want you to fly all the way back, all the way forward, as far back as you can go. Now, if you were to do this with the 80 kilos, you're risking a muscle strain. I wouldn't even do that in my wildest dreams, and I can lift 80 kilos easily. You always want to stick to your warm-up weight. That is super easy for you when you're doing the DR Sports set. So you go heavy, 6 to 8 reps. After that, you're going light for another 6 to 8 reps. That's going to bring you into the hypertrophy zone, which is 12 to 14 reps or 10 to 12 reps, whatever. It's going to bring you into the hypertrophy zone so that you can build muscle whilst also being mobile. And this works for everything. This can work for a squat. Let's say you've done your warm-up set, you go into something heavy, you're going to squat into a good range of motion that you can handle, which is probably maybe 90 degrees for 6 reps. And then the other 6 to 8 reps, you're going to go arse to grass. But you're going to bring a lot of weight off at that bar, because if you try to go arse to grass with that massive weight on there, you're just going to end up injuring yourself. So I can talk about this for ages. I do this with literally all of my exercises, and that's why my posture is great. That's why my recovery is good. That's why my mobility is excellent, because I prioritize my mobility and my strength training together in a sandwich. Okay, so body composition. So this is two of the guys in my circle who I've helped get stronger, literally transform their lives. This is me, one of my elite clients, Mabir, and I call him Uncle P. He's not actually my uncle, but he's also in my elite circle as well. So I want to show you this, guys, because this is literally flipping around someone's lives. So as you can see here, Uncle P, he was around, I believe he was about 120, 130 in this picture here. And in this one here, he just dropped 20 kilos, I think maybe even 25 by the time this video is being shot with us. Guys, this is more than just looks. This is more than just physique. Here in this first video, as you can imagine, he was getting all types of pains, back pains, knee pains, you name it. The lot, of course he is. Don't you guys know that the number one influencing factor of joint pain is obesity, arthritis, obesity? It's a ridiculous stat. I'm going to try and link the study below. But if you are overweight, you have a much, much higher chance of being in pain, especially if you put on weight quickly. Why? Because your body's not used to that extra load. Why? Because the poor diet that you're having is bringing inflammation into your joints. The added sugars, the preservatives. What do you think is going to happen with all that junk food? Your body can't process this. Your body's going to store this. Your body's going to store it as inflammation, fat. You now have more mechanical load in your knees, on your muscles. It's a terrible place to be in. Here, my client MB on my beer. He came from this skinny fat physique and then blew up. This is before he became a client of ours. He first was skinny fat and then blew up all the way to 90 kgs, bad diet. And this is how he got himself a lot of these pains, shoulder pain, back pain, of course. Why? Because of the inflammation, because of the extra load on the body. This is him recently after working with us for a few months. He's literally completely transformed his face. Look at his face. Completely different. Here he looked like literally a balloon. He looked like a balloon. Here you can see his jawline has thinned out. He's got these cheekbones now, and his physique is way better. And this was me. This is how I got myself into the surgery room, because I was literally anorexic. This has got to be anorexic. I was probably about maybe 55 kilos here. This is me now. Bulletproof. No, I'm joking, guys. Although I am kind of bulletproof. My alignment is perfect. My range of motion is excellent. I have full range of motion in every single joint of my body. And also, as a byproduct of trying to keep a healthy body, it means I stick to whole foods. It means I stick to a strict, actually not so strict diet, but I stick to whole foods and I somewhat track my calories. It's a perfect way that you can, give yourself an outrageous physique and never be in pain and always have good alignment. Look, I'm a young guy. If I wanted to maintain this physique for the rest of my life, it wouldn't really take much work. Build your dream physique, build your dream mindset, your dream body in a couple of months and literally just coast, maintain for the rest of your life. I don't see why you guys spend years in this rut of inflammation in your joints, pain, bad alignment, not being able to play with your kids because you get too tired, or you're too heavy, or you don't want to run because your knee hurts, or this and that. It's not a healthy way to live, guys. This impacts your stress, which tightens your fascia, and then it's all one big rut then again. So, guys, I don't want to touch on this. I don't want to speak on this too much. But if you want to be in my elite circle, if you want to work with me one-to-one to literally fix all of this shit, then let's do it. Send me a DM. So we're going to move on to nutrition now. We've touched on this just now as well, how the diet that you eat has an impact on your pain, has an impact on your body. Bad diet means weight gain. Bad diet means inflammation. Inflammation means pain. Pain means stress. Stress and pain means reduced range of motion, lack of movement in the gym. All of this stuff is so interconnected, guys. This is what I was saying about living a balanced life, living a life that is covering every angle holistically. Imagine if you guys transformed your mindset, transformed your body, and used all of these techniques that I'm giving you now. Not even techniques, methodologies, subsections. You should take everything that I'm giving you here into your own life, and you will be pain-free. You will have perfect posture. Heat therapy. Heat therapy is amazing because it is a muscle relaxant. There's a simple test that you guys can do at home. If you have 10 to 20 minutes in the sauna, before you get in there, I want you to try touch your toes. Whilst you've been in there for 20 minutes, you try touch your toes again, I bet you the range of motion difference is going to be incredible. So here is my life hack for you guys. If you stretch 20 minutes 2 or maybe 3 times a week, if you're in a lot of pain, or if you have really reduced range of motion, stretch in the sauna a few times a week and your range of motion is going to skyrocket. You're going to see much quicker gains than anyone else who is trying to stretch outside of this environment, because heat is a muscle relaxant. Got it? Perfect. Now, sleep. Look, I don't really like to talk on the sleep too much. There's no real ergonomic, I mean, there is a few ergonomic key factors that you should keep in mind when you're sleeping. One of them is if you're sleeping on your back, no pillow or very small pillow. If you're sleeping on your side, you want a pillow of decent size. I'm going to show you what my pillow looks like because I sleep on my side. So guys, this is my pillow. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's literally in the shape of like a W. Can you see that? And it's memory foam. So it gives you good support. It gives you good support in the neck. And make sure that if you're sleeping on your side, that space between your shoulder and your ear is covered. I used to have these goose feather pillows, and whenever I'd lean my head on them, the pillow would just sink. Obviously, that's going to give you neck pain, guys. But this is very basic. This is very easy to fix. You should have two pillows, one small one thick supported one for sleeping on your side and on your back. For sleeping on your front, no pillow. And here, last but not least, is what I do. Guys, you see this you guys would have come from my Instagram more than likely, so you would have seen me do all of this amazing stuff in clinic. I literally am one of the best practitioners in the country, in my humble opinion. If you want to go see my results, they're on my Instagram page, reviews, hundreds of them on my Instagram page, and I really do fix people, guys. But I'm sick and tired of you guys coming into clinic literally in this crazy rut of pain, and you're getting attacked from so many angles because you've literally just been neglecting all of the four pillars. So of course, manual therapy is great, and if you come in, we can get you some amazing results. But for those who don't want to pay for manual therapy, or for those who can't afford it, you can be out of pain. You don't need a treatment to be out of pain. This is what I'm saying. I want to help as many of you as possible. If you guys follow these four pillars, you're going to be out of pain in literally no time. But yeah, here's a few of my results. So this is a recent one. This is a young boy that came in who was struggling with his leg length discrepancy. It felt like his feet weren't planting properly on the ground. And this was down to the QL muscle. Yeah, he's a kid, he's growing, he's leaning more toward one side, he's in school for long hours, he's sitting a lot. This happens. Yeah, this is just a normal not structural. You can have a structural leg length discrepancy, but this one particularly was a functional leg length discrepancy, which meant that it was down to tight muscles. Shoulder discomfort. This guy came to see me maybe about a year ago. He was having this pinching pain whenever he tried to lift his shoulder. And what did we do? We worked on all of his muscles around the shoulder, loosened them as much as possible, used the heat therapy, used the cupping, and literally got him an amazing result. You can see here how fluidly his right arm is now coming above the shoulder. Look, you can see he's even got better range of motion in that right side than that left. So, of course, we were able to get him, both of these guys, great results. This is just two of so many examples. But guess what? They've come to me, I've got them a great result, they're out of pain. If they don't implement the four pillars, where do you think they're going to be a month from now? The exact same place that they came in. And a funny thing about pain, I don't know where this science comes from. I don't know why, I don't know how. But if you have a pain and I treat it, and you go away, you feel better, and that pain somehow comes back because you've not been following the four pillars, it comes back worse. And I mean far worse. This is a pattern that I've noticed in clinic. Me and my colleagues speak about it sometimes. It's real. What manual therapy should be is a complement to your life. Here's a picture of me working on my client, Vinny. Vinny, he's called Crazy Hairstylist. You guys should go check him out. I might put his link in the description as well. He is onto his nutrition. He's onto his sauna. He's onto his sleeping pattern. He does his mobility. He does his recovery. He does his conditioning safely using the DR Sports Set. And guess what? His body is almost perfect. But look, day-to-day life gets in the way, positionings, he's working on people's hairs, high-profile clients, he's on the plane, he's on the bus, he doesn't really get that much sleep, even though all the other factors are working, in his favor. Guess what? He still comes in for his maintenance every couple of weeks, every couple of months. And in that session, we're able to get him an amazing result, and he always feels amazing after. So yeah, big shout out to Vinny. He's literally one of my most consistent clients who literally stays on top of all his shit. So yeah, guys, I know this has been a long video. If you've made it to the end, well done. The likelihood is that you are not going to be in pain. The likelihood is that you're going to fix your shit. The likelihood is that you're going to live a life where you don't have to constantly worry about some sort of issue with your body. And I do work with a few guys on implementing all these factors around their lifestyle and getting them out of pain, getting them into a better posture. So yeah, you guys can book a call for that. If you want to come and see me in clinic because you're a little bit run down or you've got some sort of pain that you want to use as a marker for you to get out of pain and implement all the 4 pillars into your life so that you don't need to see me. I don't like doing block bookings, guys. I'm not like one of these stupid chiropractors that wants to book you in for 100 sessions just because I want you to pay. I want you as a mortgage paying client. I want you back every week for the sake of it. No, I want you guys to live pain free. I want you guys to be able to, if you have any pains, mitigate them yourself and be able to function normally as a human. So yeah, basically this video is literally here to put me out of business. I know I never will be put out of business because I'm far too handsome, basically. But really, this is the cheat code.